Whoa, 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 Nick Reid is live. All right. I'm getting better at having everything set up ahead of time. Well, not everything, but most things. Man, has it been a week. Which, I mean, there are a few weeks in which I don't say it's been a week, but weird stuff this week. Weird stuff that didn't leave me with a very good feeling at times. There are lots of wolves in sheep's clothing, it seems, these days. Which is worrisome when you have a propensity to help as many people as you can, regardless of their character. But okay, so I figured why not just put the cameras on. I have to do this anyway. Like, I'm honestly worried about what might happen if I don't have this ready the next time the kids come over. The other day, I mean, must have been every kid within like a square mile showed up. They're like, "Where's the ice cream?" I'm like, "Oh, I'll have it soon, I promise." Okay, so this is lemon. I've never made lemon frozen custard before. I think I remember seeing it at Cops though, or like a lemon something one time at Cops. So not entirely uncommon. I think as just as we move forward in time and everything, the evolution of society, I think that's one of the things that bothers me the most. Or not evolution, de-evolution, but I am sometimes completely in shock of the nature of things that people say, and they think it's completely acceptable. And unfortunately, a lot of those people are the very same ones that are not necessarily all that adept at self-reflection or self-censure. Okay. Well, that's going. So we're going to do lemon first. This should all be pretty darn quick. One of the things that really seems to increase the amount of time this takes is like the actual chemical makeup of the batter itself. So this should be relatively low for water content. So I'm expecting that it's gonna turn into custard here, frozen custard, pretty soon. It's already custard. Okay. All right. Every time I do this, I say I'm gonna go back and like listen to the different settings. So like, if I turn this one off while I'm playing versus if I leave it on, and I never actually do it. Uh-oh. Well, that's gonna be a problem. I guess you guys are just gonna have to look at a blue screen, because the only way I can make that not blue is by disconnecting one of the cameras. Don't ask. Yeah, it's like, so I have certain things in my life, most things in my house, like if I were to just die, suddenly disappear, I worry that there are many things that people would never figure out because I just have such a weird way of having it set up that only makes sense to me. And probably, why am I opening that? I don't even want to play that. Not right now. Gonna go check the custard. Sometimes I get a little distracted with this stuff, and then next thing I know, it's exploding out of the top, which it does because it expands as it freezes. Oh, coming together. I know. I haven't done this since I figured out the chords. Now for the life of me, I won't be able to remember. Is the one that I asked for everybody's help on. I was like, did I just really invent this? And then they were like, no, dum-dum, it's Phil Collins. I'm like, oh, right, I knew that. Then it goes to A minor. B minor. Oops, that's not the right chord. That'd be a sus chord. Not sus, like the chord isn't sus, it's suspended. Yeah. Sorry, I know that you're like, what in the world is this guy doing? I'm listening to it in my head and trying to, right? Like, it's an F, not a D minor. Starting to sound like a song. There's the D minor. I said a sus chord there. I'm getting there. Maybe this new pop music thing is going to be something. I mentioned it's like not normally in my wheelhouse, but I certainly have done it from time to time when necessary, but I was always focused on classical, jazz, blues, some ensemble work. Most recently, into like orchestral accompaniment pieces. I have to get through a few other ones first, but surprisingly enough, I know some may scoff, but the Rock 2 is on my radar because I'm saying this with every bit of humility and honesty, but like my mind is blown that I'm even able to do this to this degree, and I'm not even that good yet, but after such a long hiatus, but motivation, right? That's what it all comes down to. I have a feeling I should probably turn the mic off for this one. Gonna take a quick peek. I'm kind of cheating with this churning. I'm gonna try to get. Okay, it's close. I could definitely stop it there, but we're gonna let it go. I'll switch out the freeze bowl when I move over to the apple flavor, but I have so much partial bits of music in my head from over the years. So I'm gonna try to see how far I can get. Maybe this will be like a new thing. What random piece from Nick Reid's past can he halfway get through before he falls apart? Okay. Yeah, let's do some Chopin, see what happens. Is that, whoop. FYI. Yeah, I don't know. I haven't played this since I was a teenager, but, and I don't know if I actually finished the very end of it. I don't know. We'll find out. It's a Chopin Polonaise in A flat. Almost everybody will recognize it, and it's going to be a disaster, but that's okay. It all just came back to me right now. So this piece, actually, I didn't finish it. I was trying to remember. I'm like, I don't remember performing that. This one almost ended my, well, not that I ever had a career playing piano, but this piece almost ended my piano career. And I still, to this day, my left arm is not the same. And it's all my own fault. That's a technique thing, but, so, yeah, this piece is very, I think everybody's familiar with it, but it goes. Something like that. And anyway, but there's this other part, and it goes from A flat into E major, and it opens like this. And then from there, it goes into these 16th notes, octaves, with the left hand. And this whole thing is just going for a really long time, but until I actually really figure out the proper technique and form. I'm not even gonna bother trying to do that because I don't wanna jeopardize another, or risk another injury, you know. 2, 3, 4, it's in 6/8 time. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 1. It starts with both hands. And then it switches over to the left hand. I would need to get the music, but that's what it was. That's why I never performed this. All right, let's go take a look at the Custard here. Oh boy, that looks ready to me. Here we go. I don't even know if anybody is or will watch this, but one of the questions that I've been meaning to put into a poll, because sometimes I wonder, like, is this a sign that I've just gotten old? I don't think so, but I was gonna ask, like, who, or would it probably not a sign I've gotten old, it'd be a sign that I'm not old. Sorry, I have a contractor coming and just making sure. Anyway, phone calls. I wanna put out a poll there. I was gonna say, who likes phone calls? And, you know, you would think, you know, most people would be like, no, I really don't. There are people out there, though, who really, really love the phone. I have such an aversion to phone calls. I can't even tell you. I'm sure I'm on, like, every single robocaller list and everything else, too. That doesn't help. In many countries. It doesn't happen anymore. Actually, you have to get a new Vietnamese phone number. I just found out. But anyway, as I was saying, so it doesn't really happen now, but when I first started traveling to Vietnam, it'd be here, like back in America. Then all of a sudden my phone would ring and I'm like, what the? And, you know, thinking like, oh boy, is this like maybe there's an issue I need to take care of, or maybe I left something somewhere and somebody tracked me down, and, you know, all of that. But no, it'll just be some random Vietnamese friend just chatting away. I'm like, oh, hey, how's it going? So I'm guessing that my, because, you know, use, just like anywhere else in the world, you use your phone for everything there. So it's unavoidable that. And then in the beginning, yeah, I was actually using my American phone number before I had a Vietnamese phone. And even then, thinking like, yeah, I'd go to a restaurant or something and you use reservations. But then all of a sudden it's like, I'm getting spam calls from Vietnam. What the heck? Oh man, I have so much stuff to do. But, you know, I am finally getting to the point where I can at least tell that there's a light. I'm not going to say that I can see the light yet. Can't see the light quite yet, but I can at least tell that it's there, which is a huge improvement from where things have been. Holy cow. So I had been in, where was I? I was in Spain at the time. And then I was going from Spain to Vietnam for the summer via Qatar. And then I ended up needing to come back to Milwaukee, very short notice, because I had to be back here on June 8th. And then it was just one thing after the next. Like originally I told the kids in Vietnam when I left in early June, I'd be back in like 3 weeks. And that was honestly my plan, but it's a good reminder for me to make sure that I'm not doing anything that gives people unrealistic expectations. I like to think that I'm pretty good at that nowadays, but when I was younger, not so much. But still, it's always a good reminder. Because just sometimes being honest, you can avoid a lot of disappointment and hard feelings. And you know what? Like, part of the reason that I take such a joy in being able to help kids and watch them grow and develop is because what you see is what you get. I mean, until they get to a certain age and they get corrupted by something, but it's such a refreshing thing in this ugly world. Everybody's so mad for reasons they really don't have justification to be so angry about. Not to the extent, I mean, there's always some room for political outrage and all that stuff, but it's just, you're finding more and more, it's like people that are just mad for the sake of being mad, not because they're actually trying to achieve something. And boy, oh boy, does this all tie together with everything else I've been talking about, because quite a few friends of mine, along with me, found ourselves, when we were young, in very curious circumstances where we would even joke with each other about certain people who enjoyed being angry. And I think you're seeing a lot of that on full public display right now, under the guise of caring so much, And in my calls for peace and letting cooler heads prevail, the absolutely horrific things that have been said to me. And so I guess all I'll have to say to that, and I know no one can, the problem is that we have people that really genuinely cannot see what's going on. That's perhaps the biggest problem. If everybody were experiencing reality in somewhat the same way, we never would have gotten this way. But it's that it's not even like, I'm not just using that as hyperbole or nuance. Like, you literally have people that are seeing something diametrically opposed to what the other people are seeing. So anyway, but the whole point is that I always try to remain pretty even-keeled, and I like facts, and I like this. But if you want to win me over and bring me over to your argument so that I see it as the correct one, or the, name calling and, insulting my intelligence when it's somebody I've never met before in my life, and just, it's always the same stuff. And it's like, and then, you can't do this, you can't do that. I'm like, all of these behaviors that you're saying are so wonderful and kind and caring and empathetic. They sure sound authoritarian to me at times. Think this way, speak this way, or else we'll ruin your life and take your job, which they did. So, as I've hinted, I truly don't believe that this is a left and right issue. I think that you see natural inclinations when it comes to where people are migrating, but this is most certainly a matter, I think, related to mental health than real morality, not the fake morality that's being touted by so many. Okay. What the heck? Well, the iPad that I normally use is occupied, so I have this sheet music here, and I'm just going to keep practicing. So this is actually real practicing. So I'm nearing the end of this piece, and now I just have this one last section to learn. It doesn't do it that many times. That's kind of how I practice this. First I start, this is a 2 against 1, but I would start by breaking it into groups. So I look for patterns. This pattern here. So you're in the key of D flat, so that makes it easy. But then you just remember, one pattern there, and then coming down like that. Even though you play it like this. And then that's how I initially learn it. When I'm teaching students, we always look, I know it's unconventional and they're, everybody teach their own, but you kind of have to tailor the approach to the individual. And man, oh boy, don't get me started. You want to hear a tirade, it's going to be about education and how many exceptional kids are lost because of being forced to color in the lines, and they're just, it's no different than what we're experiencing now. I think part of what really interests me about where we are right now as a culture is that I feel like a lot of people are just starting to get a very small taste of something I've quite literally been surrounded by my entire life. So maybe that's why some of this really hits home and doesn't sit too well with me. And I'm being genuine when I say this, because who would have known? I started the hashtag Encourage Debate in May of last year. Of course, without any knowledge that any of this would happen. And now, the other day, I don't pay attention to this stuff, but I saw a notification, and yeah, now encourage debate. It was use, like it went from, I had a plan. There's a method to my madness. It wasn't just, even though it might look like it, I don't just spout off. I tend to be very poised even when I'm under the surface and just boiling. No, that was strategic because I wanted to lay the groundwork and at least have it pick up traction. And then it did, just from all of my own efforts, because like literally every single thing I do, # encourage debate. And then, but you know, it was starting to trend a little bit. You'd see here and there. I mean, but like insignificant. And then all of a sudden, well, I mean, we all know, but holy cow. Like within one day, all of a sudden it was like encourage debate showed up on 6 different YouTube channels. And I'm like, wow, look at that. Seems very simple, that last little thing I did. That is one of the most troublesome parts. Because you think A major, right? Arpeggio. Should be pretty easy. But no, what he does, and then it skips up to here. So it's not any advantage you had from the natural shape of the hand, gone. Look at this. I know people are like, so look at this hand position that you have to have. Holy carpal tunnel. Okay. have to get your hands out of the way. Look at that. So you're doing pinky and middle finger on A and F sharp. So you have to get your right hand out of the way. That's a list for you. But that's how when it's not being played the way I am, when it's actually nice and comes together, I'm not really paying attention to dynamics. Those really subtle double notes that creates is kind of one of the bits of magic that part of I have a strange feeling. Okay, I think a contractor might be here. My spidey senses are going off. If so, that'd be nice because I sure do want to have water here before I leave the country again. I'll send pictures of the frozen custard, and that'll be that. Okay, thanks for watching. Bye.